joyfully alluring. The sight and the height of glamour. Catch the views. Draw the emotions on AKBC Channel 45. Pathfinder AM 45, making your Monday morning worthwhile.
You can always have a worthwhile Monday morning when you watch AKBC TV. And of course, from 9 a.m. to 11, you watch Pathfinder. And then you have the views and what we have for you. Welcome to this particular segment of the program, Pathfinder Law. On Pathfinder Law today, we'll be taking a look at something very interesting, a topic that will concern you and I, a topic that sometimes we overlook, and a topic that sometimes bring problems in some family. We know that some family members do not really pay attention to it, while some do it the other way around and do not do it right. So who can guide you to do it right? When we talk about Pathfinder Law, we are always educating and informing you on how to go about the legal rights. Know your rights in the society as far as law is concerned. With me to talk on this particular topic we'll be talking today is Barrister Clement Imo. We know him as Amebo Barrister. Barrister Clement, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Ma. It's a pleasure to be here.
You look very sharp this Monday morning.
Well, it's a Monday morning. You must look like a lawyer.
You know, I'm looking sharp as well.
Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll be talking will. That's the topic. I said some family may not pay attention to it, while some individuals may just overlook it and it brings problem. So let's talk will on this segment today. So Barrister, will just start from the very foundation by answering this question. What is will?
A will is a document prepared by anybody used to state how the person's property should be distributed or shared amongst family members and loved ones upon the demise of that person. That's simplicity what a will means.
Okay. So when we talk about the demise of someone, does it have to do with anyone that dies?
Yes, anybody who dies, anybody can make a will before he dies. Now we're talking about deaths. It can be anybody.
Oh, really? So we used to identify a will to fathers. Only fathers can make will.
Oh no, that's not correct.
Oh, really?
Anybody can make a will. A man can make a will as a father. The mother can make a will. Even children can also make wills, as long as the person has attained the statutory legal age of 18, recognized under Nigerian law. You can make a will. So it doesn't matter if you are a father or a mother, even children, like I said, as long as you have something that you want to give out, as long as you have people that you want to give these items to, then you can make a will.
Okay, now we know. No wonder I said the importance of watching this program and this segment is also to get enlightened, because in the society we used to identify wills to only fathers. If a father dies, it must be a father that either writes a will or not. In what circumstance do mother write wills?
Well, I would say that in every circumstance. For example, my mother now, she might have a number of things, maybe a car, a house, another thing, even cooking utensils, even pots.
Really?
Yes. And then you say, okay, I want this particular pot to go to my first daughter. Like they say here, they will send me. I want this particular one to go to her. I don't want to have any contention as to who will take it or who will not take it. So my mom should write in her will, this my particular set of pots bought from China should go to Adiarami, should go to my first daughter specifically. The will is, as long as you have a property, whether it's pot or spoon or plate or pair of shoes, a pair of suits, whatever it is, and you have loved ones or dear people, family members who you want to inherit that thing from you, then you have a reason to write a will.
And that will must go through a legal process, like calling a barrister. Can I just write something like a document and then sign, and then can it be honored like a will?
Well, for you to qualify as a will, it must meet specific requirements of the law.
Okay.
And then one of the provisions of our laws is that now, first of all, a will is a legal document.
A legal document.
It is a legal document.
That is what makes it a will.
Yes.
So if I write any document and sign it, is not a will. That's the difference.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. It will still qualify as a will. But more often than not, it is safer to have a lawyer help you out,
Okay.
who can guide you on the principles and the and all of the loopholes you need to watch out for when preparing a legal document.
Okay.
Yes.
So why is it important to write a will?
Why is it important to write a will? A very beautiful question. It is important to write a will because of what a will means and what it stands for. Like I mentioned already, a will is a document that specifies in very clear terms what should happen to a person's property upon the person's demise. So for instance, right now I have a pair of suits, I have a pair of shoes, I have phones, I have laptops, and I want my suit to go to a particular person. I want my plot of land to go to a particular person. It is necessary I write the will and specify all of those details.
Okay.
Give this one to Mr. A, give this one to Mr. B. That way, when I pass away, my property will be shared according to my desire. Okay, but when I don't have a will that specifically and clearly states my preferred manner in which my property should be shared, the operations of the state and of the law of the state will determine how it will be shared, and more often than not, it might not be the way I would have wanted it to be.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the advantage of having a will. You get to decide how things should happen even after you are no more.
Now that's the importance of writing will.
Yes.
And as you said earlier, it's just to make sure that there is no problem in the family when someone dies.
Yes.
That's just the summary of it.
Yes, because sorry to cut you, because
Okay.
when there is no clear spell out of these things, there can be disputes and problems in the family.
Okay.
You know, one child will say, I should be the one to take this one will say, no, it should come to me. But if Papa has clearly stated it and said, these three things, oh, you take one, you take number two, you take number three, they would share their things peacefully amongst themselves.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now I know we have types of will. You know, I asked earlier if I write any documents that I want my daughter or my sister to inherit this, can it be honored? Now we just want to specify, since a will must have a legal backing, like you said.
Yes.
What are the types of wills we have?
Well, under the Nigerian law, we have a number of them. We have a statutory will. We have non-creative will. We have customary will. Okay, we have joint will. We have reciprocal will. We also have some other category that you say privilege will. Okay, testamentary trust will. Okay, and another one we call holographic will. You know, all of these wills, all of these are types of wills, and they have several twists, something that make them different. But at the end of the day, they all will turn out to be valid.
Okay, types of wills, you just mentioned them. Why is it important for someone to know these types of will? Is it applicable to a particular family member? Is it applicable to where someone comes from? Why do we have these types of will, and where do they fall in when it comes to writing a will?
Okay, I think I should start with explaining the types of wills so that it will be clear. Now, the first one, like I mentioned, is the statutory will. Okay. The statutory will is a will that complies with all the requirements of the law. Okay. When it comes to making a will, number one is that it must be in writing. There must be witnesses, at least 2 credible witnesses. The person making the will must have testamentary capacity. He must be of sound mind. And then I've mentioned witnesses, it must be in writing. Okay, and some other things that are required by specific laws, because the laws differ a little bit between one state and another in Nigeria. Okay, so as long as the that document meets all the requirements of the law, it is referred to as a statutory will, because it is made according to the statute. The second one I mentioned is the non-creative will. Now, non-creative will is a will that does not exactly meet all the requirements of the law. Okay, for the formal requirements, for instance, it may be in writing, minimum of 2 witnesses, you know, but it must have the basic ingredients for a will to be valid. Number one is that the person making the will must have testamentary capacity. Okay. Number 2 is that there must be no duress. So even if it misses out on some of the other ones, it must still have these basic ingredients. And then the fact that it doesn't meet those other ones will not make it invalid. Because if it were to be a statutory will, it will be invalid. But now, the window of non-creative will still makes it valid. Okay. For example, instances where you can have a non-creative will. A man is about to die, or a person is about to die on a dying bed, hospital bed, and then he says, please do this and this and this and this. Like in our local this thing, someone lies on a sick bed and says, please, that my plot of that my plot by the market square, let it go to my first son, because at that point in time he's sick, no time to go and write. So in the presence of credible witnesses, that my land by the market square should go to my first son. That my car, let it go to my second son. The other land that is in the neighboring village, please keep it for my daughters. Now, even though it is not in writing, but because he has the mental capacity to make a will, that's one. And then number two is that they are credible witnesses. That will be accepted as a non-cupative will.
Okay.
A third one is the one I mentioned, the customary will. Customary will is a will that is made in line with the custom and traditions of the people. Now, for that one to be valid, all the requirements of being in writing and blah 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 can be waived aside. But remember, like I said, even if you waive every other condition for a will, there are two that cannot be waived.
Okay.
Number one is that he must have mental capacity, he must be of sound mind, and number two is that they must be credible witnesses. So for the customary will also, the man or the woman making the will, this pronouncement, must have the capacity mentally to know that this is what I'm saying and I mean what I'm saying. I'm not hallucinating. I'm in my right senses. And then there must be credible witnesses who can tell this story and say, okay, this is what this man said. He said this particular thing should go to this person and this one go to that person. And then for customary will, as long as such is accepted by the custom and traditions of the people, then it becomes valid. Okay. Another one is which other one did I mention? I mentioned statutory, non-cupative, customary. Then there's holographic will. Holographic will is when someone carries a piece of paper and writes his intentions, not meeting the formal requirements of the law, but then there must also be credible witnesses to witness that he actually made such, such documents. Okay, that's also valid. Moving on from there, we have what we call joint will. Now, joint will is when, for example, you have a couple who have bought property together, who jointly own property. When they jointly own property, let's assume a house, husband and wife join money to buy the house or land, and then you know that one person alone cannot decide on what happens to this document. Okay. What they now do is two of them must come together and write a will together concerning that property which they jointly own. Okay. That's a joint will. Moving on quickly to the next one, the mutual it's called the mutual will. Mutual will. Yes, mutual and reciprocal will. Now, it can also relate to joint property. Okay. But most times it happens amongst family members or especially couple. So now, husband and wife will come together and make what we call a reciprocal will. If I die first as the husband, all my property goes to my wife. The wife would also on her own part say, if she dies first, all her property should go to her husband. So it's mutual. That's why it's called that. Now there are other types of will which do not exactly follow the formal requirements of the law, and they include privilege will. This is a will that is made by members of the armed forces or other security agencies. It is believed that because of the nature of their job and operations, they are not always around family at home, so they can stay there wherever they are. Maybe a soldier now who is fighting Boko Haram in Borno can stay and carry paper and pen, or even call some of his colleagues and say, see, I have this and this so and so property. Okay. This is how I want it to be distributed. Okay. It doesn't follow the formal requirements of law of being in writing of this and that and that. But as long as it meets two requirements: number one, mental capacity, soundness of mind; number two, there is no duress, he's doing it free willingly; and then number three, that there are credible witnesses who will hear his story and can report the story after he's no more. Then it is considered a valid will. So these are the major types of wills we have in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I mean, that's educating enough. We can get the information from you. But now, when you were talking, I was carefully listening to you. I heard you use the word valid. Let's be very specific. What are the capacity, what are the formalities that makes a will valid?
Okay. If you're talking about the things that make a will valid, yes, I'm going to address this question from the standpoint of a statutory will. Please go ahead. As to what the law says.
Yes, what the law says.
Number one is that this will must be in writing. Okay. Number two, it must be in writing so that it can be seen by everybody. It can be made public. There will be no contest of you telling narrating the story somebody said and having the fear of distorting the message a little bit. That's number one. Number two is that the person who made this will must have the mental capacity. He must be of sound mind. He must not be hallucinating. He must not have any sort of ailment that affects his mental capacity.
Okay.
Number three is that he must know that what he's doing at that time is a will. So if you give me a piece of paper now and you tell me, I'm a barrister, please write a document that I will use to travel from here to Abuja without police disturbing me, and you say I should sign, and I sign. Later on I realize that is a will that you have made on my behalf. It will not be seen as a valid will, because I must have that intention of making a will, and I must know that what I'm dealing with at that point in time is a will. Another condition is that there must be credible witnesses, minimum of 2. Now, the job of the witnesses is not to testify as to the content of the will. No, their job is to testify to the fact that they were present when I signed this will, and that I was in my full mental capacity, and that I knew that that document I was signing was actually my will, and I had the intention to make it my will.
Okay.
Another condition for a will to be valid is that there must be no form of duress or undue influence. I cannot be made to make a will or sign a will with a gun pointed to my head. It would therefore mean that whatever I'm making at that point in time, I'm being forced to do it. It's not free willing. Okay, so the absence of duress or undue influence is also a necessary condition with regards to will. And these are some of the very common ones that very common conditions that make a will valid.
Okay, let's talk about let's say the people that we can say are involved in a will. You know, we used to have, like they say, witnesses.
Yes.
Who are those that are qualified to come out so that if the person dies and maybe the will be read, who are those that will be needed at that point that show that the will is valid, that they were part of the will?
Okay, now to have credible witness, to have a witness to a will, or to qualify as a witness to a will, the person just needs to attain the legal age of 18. So once the person is an adult, and the law believes that this person knows what he's doing and can actually sign documents as such, then the person is qualified to be a witness.
Okay.
But then, to be on the safe side, it is also good to pay attention to the people you bring as witnesses. It is good you bring somebody who is credible, people that the society respects.
Okay.
People that if they say something, you know that what they are saying is true, because their job is to testify that truly this document is your will. If you go and bring somebody that the community knows him, that he's the kind of person in the community that if he says good morning, everybody will check their clock to be sure that it is still morning, you know, because he's someone that they do not believe whatever he says.
Okay.
Now, when you carry that kind of person as a witness to your will, and the person comes out and says, this is Mr. Okonkwo's will, people are like, are we sure you can trust this man? This man is not to be trusted, though. How are we sure what this man is saying is true? So you want to remove all iota of doubt and make sure you give yourself a safe space so that what you are putting forward will have little or no challenge at the end of the day.
Okay. Now we also know that there are people called executors.
Yes.
When a will is written. Let's talk about them.
Okay. Now, executors, like the name implies, they are people that execute. Now, normally a will is a set of instructions. Okay, that is what a will is. An instruction on what should happen to my property when I am no more. So you want to be sure that you are appointing the right, you will need somebody to carry out these instructions. I say give my car to this person, give my motorcycle to that person. I'm a lawyer, give my law books to my first son who is a lawyer. Or let's say I have 3 children and then my first son is an engineer, my first daughter is a medical personnel, and then it's my 3rd child that is a lawyer. I can say I want my law books, my wig and gown to go to that my child that is a lawyer, because giving my law books to my first son would be wasted. Those are my instructions. So the executors are the people whose job is to carry out that instruction. They will now, after the will has been read, look at all the instructions I've given and say, okay, this is what he wanted. He wanted us to do A, B, and C. So therefore, their job is to make sure everything is done according to the instructions.
Okay.
So that's simply what an executor does.
That's what an executor does.
Yes.
And then who should be the executor? Should the executor be related to members of the family, like maybe the wife of the husband?
The executor can be anybody.
It can be anybody.
Yeah, but more often than not, it is most people like to have executors who are not beneficiaries in the will. For example, a man would naturally want his wife and family members to be beneficiaries of his will.
Okay.
So he might want to have as executors other people, maybe some of his friends, business partners, who will come and ensure that these things are going on according to what he has said.
Okay.
You know.
Alright.
Yes.
Okay,
But there's nothing wrong, even when your wife is or family member is a beneficiary, to also make them executors. There's nothing wrong about it. Yeah, but sometimes most people are like, since you are the one benefiting, you know, you'll be receiving part of my gifts. Let somebody else be the person to hand it over to you. I mean, you cannot give something to yourself by yourself.
Okay. So at this point, we understand what a will is. We also understand what makes a will valid, and we also understand the people that are involved in the will, the executors and the witnesses and their responsibilities. So what happens in a case where someone dies without writing a will?
What most people fear is what will happen. Now, what will happen when someone dies without making a will is that, number one, and primarily amongst it, is that the person's property would not be shared and distributed in a manner the person would have loved it to be. Like I mentioned earlier on, I might want my properties to go this particular one to this particular person, this one to this particular person, you know. But when the person dies, his desires are not known, his intentions are not known. They die with him. So the law would now come into play to distribute the property in a way that is in line with the provisions of the law. Now, the law makes clear provisions that in the event someone dies without a will,
Okay.
this is the formula to apply in distributing the person's assets. So, more often than not, it's a good method anyway to avoid disputes, avoid quarrels, avoid fight. But it might not be exactly what the person would have wanted.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we having understand that, I mean, what happened? You've answered that already, but we just want it to stand out. Someone have, you know, maybe he may have different people in the family, like he married to different wives and have different siblings, and may have a particular custom, maybe tradition in their place, that if he dies, his family members, that's his siblings, should have to be beneficiary of the will. I mean, that's their custom, that's their tradition. Now, on the wife's coming, and the wife say no, it shouldn't be so, and so this person dies without writing a will. Now, can the wife qualify to take all that? Should the brothers, the siblings, how can they go about making sure that what is known as a tradition is obtained? I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from.
I understand you.
Yeah, that's the point we are trying to raise now.
Okay, now it is automatic. If somebody dies without making a will, it is either the property will be shared according to the provisions of the law, that's the administration of estate law, or according to customary law. You know, because our different customs, like you have mentioned, also make provisions as to how properties of the deceased person should be shared. So if the person has died without a will, and the custom says that when a man dies, it is his brother that will inherit everything, his brother will inherit the wife, inherit the children, inherit all his properties, and then the brother will not be the one to decide how to take care of his children, how much money to spend on the children. So whether the brother should spend or not is the brother's business. Okay. So that is why, so at that point in time, the wife cannot complain about anything, because you cannot fight the custom of the people. Now, the man's failure in making a will was automatically him saying, I submit myself to what our traditions and custom says. Because if he wanted otherwise, he would have said, okay, because this is what our custom is, I am not comfortable with it. I am afraid that if something happens to me today, my wife will not benefit from what I have. My children might stand a risk of losing some of my property, because the custom says that my brother should be the one to inherit everything. Okay. Now, a man who is not comfortable with this will now say, no, this thing, it doesn't sit well with me. Let me make plans. Let me make a will, so that it will be clear on how I want my properties to go. It will be clear that my wife should take this. It should be clear that my children should take this and that and that. So when he does that, he saves himself from that trouble and all of those wahala. But when he doesn't do that, it is automatic. Okay. It's going to follow either native law and custom, or it is going to be shared according to the provisions of the administration of estate law of a particular state.
That's good to know. So in a process where there is a will and some members of the family say they are not comfortable when the disease is gone, they're not comfortable with the will, can the will be contested?
Yes, it can be contested.
How should that be?
Now, a will can be contested to the extent of its validity.
Okay.
Now, their question will now be, how are we sure this will is valid? How are we sure our late father was the one that signed this will? How are we sure this is the actual document he signed as a will? At that point in time, the only persons that can be called upon are the witnesses.
Okay.
But the witnesses will be the ones to come forward and say, yes, so this is the will Mr. Akpan made. I was there, I saw when he signed it, and he agreed that that was his will.
Okay.
They'll bring out the document, that the document say, yes, this is the same document. I signed as a witness. Okay. So that is that is where a will can be contested. Now, that is why I stress the importance of having not just any witness, but credible witnesses. So you might want to look at credible witnesses like, let's say, reputable members of the society. People members of society will easily listen to and believe them. Maybe for Christians, some people want to consider their pastors. For some Muslims, they want to consider their imams, spiritual leaders. We hold them in high esteem, and we believe that whenever they stand up to speak, they are often speaking the truth, and you cannot doubt what they are saying.
Okay. So how about in the process of bringing the witnesses to confirm to the will, and maybe somewhere or the other, the two witnesses are not placed the same place? Maybe when a will is contested, remember we're talking about being contested, and then the members of the family are not comfortable with the will, and the witnesses are brought in. Maybe one witness is placed outside while one is here. How about a situation where one witness is saying something different from what the other witness says?
Well, that would be difficult, because the job of a witness at that point is just to testify that he or she was present when the man signed the will.
Okay, now let me put it like this.
Okay.
The two witnesses are not being trusted by maybe some family members.
Okay.
In the process of trying to execute the will, a lawyer is attached to it, and then they try to make it to find out if the two witnesses are on the same space. One is being kept outside and one is inside. The one inside is saying something different. When the other one is called in, he says something different. Now the two witnesses who were there are saying something different about that particular will.
Well, that takes us into the sphere of what we call in law evidence. Law of evidence. Evidential, but because it therefore means that someone is not saying the truth.
Okay.
Because if two people were actually witnesses to this will, they signed, and then what the law says is that I cannot be doing a will now. I go and give Mr. A in his house, he signs as my witness. When he's done, I take to Mr. B to sign. No. The law says that two of them must be present at the same time when the testator, when me, the maker of the will, called the testator, when I'm signing, they must both be present at the same time, and they must both sign at the same time. So you're not doing it in parts.
Okay.
Unlike some other documents that you can prepare the document, take it to one witness in Lagos, he will sign, take it to another witness in Abuja, he will sign. No, for a will, three of us must be present at the same time. That's me, the maker of the will, and at least two witnesses. So if we were all there together present, they saw when I signed. Mr. A, witness Mr. A, signs in my presence. Witness Mr. B, second witness, also signs in my presence. I don't see any reason why they will call them and they would be speaking in different tongues.
So how about if they speak in different tongues?
Then that's a problem.
That means something is wrong.
Something is wrong. So
what should be done in such situation? Well, what would you advise? What's your legal advice?
Well, at that point, I will advise that the matter be taken to the probates. Okay. That is a part of the department in the court that is in charge of looking at things related to wills. And then the probate will now be the one to hear from all parties and then to ascertain where actually lies the truth.
Okay. That's good to know. Why we are asking these questions, as I said earlier, is because most people may not really pay attention to this, and that's why when you hear some family members who have issues when either the father, you say the mother can write a will. I didn't even ask, can the mother write a will when the father is still alive? I mean, if the father owns his property and is not yet dead, can the mother also write a will in between, or should it be maybe when the father is gone?
Yes, as long as the woman owns her own property,
okay,
she has a right to write a will concerning her properties. That's why I mentioned earlier on that we have a will we call mutual and reciprocal will.
Okay.
So two partners will say, okay, if I go first, if God calls me first, all my properties should go to my wife, and the wife also like a reciprocal will.
Okay.
See, in the event God calls me first, all my property should go to my husband. So you see, they are both is back and forth. So anybody that owns property can write it. And when they jointly own property, they come together and write a will and say, okay, in the event that we both own this house, the man will say, if I die, all my rights and interests in the house should pass to my wife. And the wife can also, in that same will, write that if she dies, all her interests in the house should pass to the husband, that if she dies first. And they can also jointly write that in the event we both die at the same time, which is not impossible, let everything go to our children or social person or maybe this church, or deciding on how the thing should go.
In my many years of existence, I have never heard, or even I don't know that a woman can write a will when the father is still there. It's not when the husband is still there. Is it common in our society, or is it something we need to know or we need to introduce?
Well, like you have said, it's not very common. In fact, the whole idea of writing a will is not even common in itself.
Yes.
Well, when you tell someone, if as a lawyer I meet some clients and I'm like, sir, I'm advising you to prepare your will. It's important because of this, because of that. Make your instructions clear to your family members so that the day God calls you, people know what you actually have in mind. They say, God forbid, Barrister, you want me to die? I say, no, it's not so.
That's our normal response in everything. God forbid. God forbid. Over my dead body has always been our response.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, but the truth is this: as human beings, we do not know the day God will call us. It can come in any form, in any manner. Okay. So why not make yourself prepared? Why not find yourself in a situation where the day God calls you, the day it happens, you are not regretting and saying, oh, if I had known, I would have done this. If I had known, it always comes when it's too late. Okay.
At this point, I know that this is becoming interesting, and I didn't even open phone lines for people to also participate, but you know what we'll do? We'll also give opportunity for people to participate, because I know they will love to ask questions. But before we do that, I'll just love to go on a quick break. When I am back, I am still here. It's still Pathfinder Law on AKBC television. The program is Pathfinder. Stay with us.
Akwa Ibom is truly a state in forward motion. With the advent of this golden era, we are driving entrepreneurship and creating employment for youth with a Ibom-led initiative.
We are alleviating pressure on the parents of our school-age children by providing them with free and compulsory education, school uniforms, shoes, and millions of exercise books. We are building model primary schools across the state.
We have paid more than 16 billion naira in gratuity to retired civil servants and leave grant to teachers and local government workers.
Our road infrastructural maintenance efforts spans all the 31 local government areas in the state. We are constructing dualized roads and bridges on multiple fronts.
Also, we've constructed 20,000-seater amphitheater at the Unity Park, Uyo, to further drive tourism. Our life attender is working.
Before wahala go wake up from sleep around you, make you call police yo. Call police yo. If you see or hear wetin you no understand, make you call police yo. Call police yo. Akwa Ibom people, you get as things don't begin to happen for this we state. We come make some of us come the ask say, suit of desperation. All the time where our son name for this state be the most peaceful state for Nigeria. The name they pay some people not be so. Now why some people come begin to ask horror film for we state? Abi and now for so Akwa Ibom state government don't come up for gear. And police and other security agencies don't ready. If you see people or movement where you no trust or you no understand what some people they do to you survive and live life big, whether not for where you they work or for your neighborhood or compound or na inside keke or minibus, abeg call police hotline for 0803 921 3071 or 0904 000 0065 or you call Akwa Ibom State Information Hotline on 070 000 00001. If you wait till it happen to you before you do something, if it too late, yo. This message is from Ministry of Information, Akwa Ibom State.
It's good to know you are still there. You are still watching Pathfinder on AKBC television. This is the law segment of the program. I am here discussing with Barrister Clement Imo Amembo. Barrister. We are still talking will. Right now, I just want to open this phone line, so that you can also be part of it. I never knew that a woman can also write a will. I mean, a wife, even when the husband is still alive. I never knew that a sister or siblings or brothers, anybody can write a will saying that I want my siblings, I want my sister, I want my family members to, be beneficiaries of my property. We've only identified wills to fathers. I'm just hearing now. So I'm a barrister. It's good to hear this, because we learn by the day, every day. Now, I was still on that issue of a woman writing a will, and I wanted to clear this. Must it be a kind of, let's say, understanding between the couple, or if a woman writes a will, can it be known by the husband? Or how about if a wife writes the will and the husband is not on the know? Can it bring conflicts?
A will is a private document.
Okay.
It's a series of instructions on how a person wants his or her property to pass.
All right.
Now, the woman can choose to inform her husband.
Okay.
Or not.
Can choose or not.
Yes.
In our society where we say men, in quotes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So.
Well, now we are not looking at it from the standpoint of society.
Okay, let's see. At this point, we're just trying to make sure that we answer calls. Somebody will call. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Okay, so we are still going to attend to some calls, because I know that this particular topic people are going to be interested in. Writing a will. What makes a will valid, and who should write a will? That's what we are discussing. Please, you are talking.
Yes.
As you are talking, I will just interrupt a little to pick calls.
No troubles. Yeah, welcome to the conversation.
Okay.
Now, a will, like I said, is a private document. This property belongs to me as a man. Okay? I can decide to tell my wife how I want it to be, to be shared after my demise. Let's not forget that some men might want to give some properties to some people that their wives might not be comfortable with. For example, a man might have, let's say, a concubine, or somebody outside, maybe a child from another woman that even his wife is not aware of. But deep in his heart, he knows that even though this child is outside wedlock, this child is still my flesh and blood. And I also want to make sure that this child gets something from me at the end of the day. So he might not want to inform the wife about it, because the wife will be like, where did this one come from? How come? How not come? So he might want to keep it quiet and not mention it to her. But that doesn't in any way make it invalid.
Okay.
Yes, the same thing with the wife. The woman might have some inclination to some people, or to some, maybe a woman might say, okay, I want to give some of my properties or my things or some of my money to the church or this particular pastor, and the husband will be like, you again and this church, must you give everything to the church? And she knows that the husband will not agree, so she might keep quiet and say, okay, since I know that at the end of the day it's my will and it is going to be the way I want it to be, this one for my children, this one for my husband, this one for that my church association that I love them so very much.
Okay.
And it becomes automatic.
All right.
So the husband, she might choose to tell him, she might choose not to tell him.
Okay, that's good to know.
It doesn't affect it.
So let's see who is here. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Okay, we just have to see if we can pick one or two calls before we go. It's just trying to see who can ask question about will. Now, in all this, we know that we've talked will. At what point can, let's see this one, maybe this person will talk. Hello, good morning. Okay, at what point can a will be dishonored?
A will can be dishonored on several grounds. Number one is if the will is contested. Number two is if the will does not meet the validity, it doesn't have the essential requirements of the law. If it has been proven, like I mentioned earlier on, that when there is a contest on a will, it is taken to court, and a particular department of the court that is in charge of it, called the probate division. Okay, if a will is taken to the probate division, the probate division concludes that this will is not valid, there is an issue with the will, such a will be dishonored. Okay, another instance where a will can be dishonored is if you do not have enough assets to fulfill the requirements of the will.
Okay.
For example, at the time the man made the will, he had 3 cars and 4 houses. But along the line, Nigeria happened to him. Tinubu government came on board, and he had to sell some things to survive.
Sorry, let me see if you can pick this call. We just have to see if one person can talk. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Okay, like I was saying, now Nigeria happened to the person, and the person had to sell off some of those houses and sell off some of those cars. But the will still talks about 4 cars and 3 houses, and then soon after the man is no more, he passes on.
Okay. At that point, something can be contested. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. That would be network. Okay. All right. Barrister Clement Imo, I'm a barrister. We've spoken at large about a will. Now, there's other documents that we know people can have. We know that there are some people who will have documents like a trust, a power of attorney. Can they conflict with a written will?
A power of attorney would not necessarily conflict with a will.
Okay.
Yes. Now,
so they have their different functions?
Yes, they have their different functions.
So if someone says my father has this power of attorney and the wife says my husband wrote this will, can it have conflicts? Which one should be honored among them?
Now let's look at it this way. A power of attorney is you authorizing someone to do something on your behalf.
Okay.
But a will now is you handing over something to someone. So if, for instance, I have a parcel of land and I authorize a Peyong to farm on that land with a power of attorney to maintain the land and take care of it and exercise ownership of the land as though he were me. You know, see, the power of attorney is valid as long as I am alive.
Okay.
The moment I am no more, the power of attorney ceases to exist, because a power of attorney is like you appointing a delegate, someone to represent, the best word, a representative.
Okay.
Now, where I no longer have that power, I'm no longer alive, I cannot have a dead man cannot be represented anywhere.
Thank you very much. Barrister Clement Imome, barrister, in just, let me say 30 seconds, 1 minute, summarize to us what you've just talked to us about today, because we are wrapping up this segment.
All right, it's been an interesting day to be with, to be here, and the topic has been very interesting. We've been speaking about wills, why you should make a will, why everybody should make a will, and we have come to the conclusion that once you attain the legal age of 18 and you have property or item and you have loved ones or family members that you want these items to go to, it is important that you make a will, because where you do not make a will to state how your property should be shared when you are no more, automatically it will be shared in a manner that you may not like, that will not necessarily be in what you had in mind, because the law will come and say, let the property go to this person or that person, or your customer and say let it go this way or that way. But when there is a will, like they say in the Bible, where there is a will, there is a way. So when you have a will as to how you want the properties to be shared, then that way you have specified is what is going to be applicable, and it's going to be good to you, so that even you, when you have passed away, you can rest in peace and be happy that your family is happy together without dispute.
Thank you very much, Barrister Clement Imo. I'm a barrister. We look forward to hosting you again on Pathfinder Law. Thank you for coming.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that is it. That's the size of this particular segment of the program. It has been Pathfinder Law, and we have been talking will. Don't go anywhere. Pathfinder continues after this time out.